Rengoku Kyojuro Rengoku. As one of the strongest Hashira of the Demon Slayer Corps, Rengoku wields flame breathing, one of the 5 original breathing styles, directly branching from sun breathing. Unlike breathing styles that emphasize defense or flexibility, flame breathing focuses purely on offensive power, with every technique embodying the nature of fire, radiant, fierce, and destructive. Like all Demon Slayers, Rengoku fights with a Nichiren katana, a blade that changes color depending on its wielder. His blade shines in a deep crimson hue, with flame-like patterns running along its edge, making it seem as if the sword itself is ablaze. When Rengoku unleashes flame breathing, the flames appear to erupt from his very soul, merging with the sword, burning both his enemies and his destiny. His techniques are the clearest proof of his title as the Flame Hashira. First form, Unknowing Fire. A sudden, explosive strike that uses the burst speed of fire to close in on the enemy in an instant, delivering a slash from behind to the front, so fast it is nearly imperceptible to the human eye. Second form, Rising Scorching Sun. Upon drawing his sword, the blade ignites and arcs upward toward the sky, creating a fiery curve before cleaving down to decapitate a demon. Third form, Blazing Universe. The opposite of the rising slash, this is a powerful downward strike. Flames swirl around the attack, unleashing a force akin to fire descending from the heavens. Fourth form, Blooming Flame Undulation, a long-range technique where the sword's swing generates a spiraling column of fire that surges forward like a raging fire dragon. Fifth form, Flame Tiger. Flames around the blade manifest into the form of a roaring, blazing tiger charging ahead, embodying Rengoku's overwhelming strength and fighting spirit. And finally, the ultimate technique that bears his own name. Ninth form, Rengoku. His figure merges with the flames, dashing forward with the velocity of a meteor, carrying destructive power great enough to shake even an upper rank. In this final form, flames born from his indomitable will engulf his entire body. His silhouette becomes that of a fire dragon streaking across the battlefield with meteoric speed, carrying all his strength, resolve, and sacrifice into one decisive strike. Even against upper rank 3, Akaza, this technique inflicted grievous wounds, a feat achieved by very few. Flame breathing was originally complete with 9 forms, yet through his lifetime of battle, Rengoku was only able to pass down 6 of them to future generations. The rest burned away together with his soul in that final blaze. Roy Mustang. In the world of Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood, where alchemy is power, knowledge, sin, and hope, Roy Mustang is not just a military colonel. He is the embodiment of absolute control, the man who can turn fire into a weapon and hatred into the drive to change an entire nation. Unlike typical shonen characters gifted with innate abilities, Roy was not born to command fire. His power comes from calculation, technique, and a profound understanding of science. He wields a pair of specially crafted gloves woven with ignition cloth, allowing him to generate sparks each time he snaps his fingers. Upon them is inscribed a crimson transmutation circle, and combined with his ability to manipulate the oxygen concentration in the air, Roy can unleash devastating explosions from the smallest spark. However, the essence of Roy's alchemy is not creating fire, but controlling the environment so that fire becomes destructive. In areas with high oxygen density, even a single spark can become a nightmare that consumes everything. Yet even the flame alchemist has his weakness. The natural enemy of fire is water. On rainy days or in damp environments, Roy's abilities are almost nullified. This is why the nickname Useless Colonel was born. One of the most memorable moments was during his battle against Lust. Roy was at his strongest state, but when a single water pipe burst, the entire room poured down like rain, rendering him completely helpless. But Roy Mustang does not fall to circumstance. With the resolve of a soldier, he quickly used the very water on the floor to separate it into hydrogen and oxygen, then ignited it with a lighter, completely turning the tide. Even without his trademark gloves, he could still fight. For Roy, as long as his will burns, the flame never dies. What makes Roy truly remarkable is not just his power, but his ability to wield it with absolute precision. He can incinerate an entire enemy squad, yet not harm a single comrade standing nearby. During the assault on the white-clad brigade, his flames were so overwhelming that the enemy fell into chaos, while his allies stood unscathed. And the peak of that flame was his battle against Envy. When Envy provoked the grief of Hughes's death, Roy was no longer a colonel, he was the embodiment of wrath itself. In an instant, he burned away Envy's tongue and eyes, then relentlessly unleashed wave after wave of fire. Every snap of his fingers was an explosion. Left, right, each strike followed by a chain of roaring flames, until Envy was reduced to nothing but ashes. Even while standing dangerously close, Roy was never harmed. That was not luck. It was the flawless control of a master who commands fire as if it were a toy. Yet between power and fury, Roy remains human. In the final moment, he restrained his rage to avoid killing envy blindly, because he knew if he allowed hatred to consume him, he would be no different from his enemy. Shinra Kusakabe. As a second-class fire soldier of Special Fire Force Company 8, Shinra Kusakabe is a third-generation pyrokinetic, and above all, one of the very rare individuals who possess the Avdol burst, a pure flame carrying supernatural power beyond human comprehension. Unlike ordinary pyrokinetics, Shinra's flames do not spread across his entire body, but are concentrated solely in his feet. Thanks to this, all of his attacks are jet-propelled kicks, strikes with the destructive force of rockets, powerful enough to shatter even the hardest structures. Those legs are not only weapons, but also engines that allow Shinra to soar, evade, and move at extreme speed through the skies like a living missile. From the very first time he learned to use his flames for flight, the sight was like a rocket blasting into the heavens. But upon entering the Avdol link, Shinra bends even the laws of physics, moving faster than the speed of light, producing the phenomenon known as the severed universe, where space, time, and reality are torn apart. Beyond that, he can even achieve instantaneous movement by surpassing the limits of time itself, a power far beyond that of any pyrokinetic before him. Shinra's signature ability lies in his jet-propelled kicks, known as the Devil's Footprints. He compresses all flame pressure into one leg, then releases it at once, creating an explosive kick like a missile's detonation. A single strike is enough to crack floors, break walls, or bring down even the most formidable opponents. During his training with Captain Benimaru Shinmon, Shinra learned to harness hand signs, martial seals that amplify his flames. Among them is the Korna sign, a rock hand gesture which, when activated, transforms Shinra into demon form, a heightened combat state acknowledged by Captain Akitaru Obi himself as surpassing human limits. The pinnacle of this ability was revealed in his battle against Charon. Shinra combined the tiger sign in his left hand with the Korna demon form in his right, unleashing a colossal eruption of firepower as if hell itself had descended upon the world. Mereoleona no Mi. In the world of One Piece, fire does not come from magic. It comes from the power of a devil fruit known as the Mereoleona no Mi, Flame Fruit. This Logia-type fruit allows its user to create, control, and become fire itself. Throughout history, there have been two known wielders of this power: Portgas D, Ace, the Fire Fist of the Whitebeard Pirates, and later Sabo, Chief of Staff of the Revolutionary Army. But the true significance does not lie in who wields it. It lies in how they use the flames as an extension of their very soul. In terms of mobility, both Ace and Sabo can transform their lower bodies into fire, propelling themselves and flying at immense speeds. Ace even once used flames to propel a ship across the sea, turning his Logia power into a living engine. Defensively, the Flame fruit allows the user to transform their body into fire, making them virtually immune to ordinary physical attacks, as long as those strikes are not imbued with haki. Even when a part of their body is destroyed, they can regenerate entirely from flames, as though they are the fire itself. But flames are not just for evasion, they are for offense. Portgas D. Ace was the first to show the world that fire could become a weapon shaped by will. With Fire Fist, a massive flaming punch capable of incinerating an entire fleet. With Hitoruma, a piercing spiral of flame that skewers enemies. At his peak stood Great Flame Commandment, where Ace forged a colossal fireball resembling the sun, carrying city-level destructive power. He even used fire defensively with Enjomo, a blazing wall of flames providing complete protection. In Ace's hands, fire was not just an attack, but an overwhelming presence. After Ace's death, Sabo inherited the Flame fruit and forged it into his own strength. While he has yet to display as many techniques as Ace, Sabo's superior martial prowess gives him a unique edge. When the power of fire fused with the strikes of his Ryusoken Dragon Claw fist, a new technique was born: Dragon's Talon, Flame Dragon King, where a spiraling punch enveloped in blazing fire creates a destructive vortex, swallowing opponents as if caught in a firestorm. However, both Ace and Sabo, no matter how powerful, have yet to reach the awakening state of a devil fruit. And if that day comes, the day Sabo awakens the Flame fruit, when fire is no longer just a tool but becomes the very embodiment of nature, then that will be the moment when true destruction begins. Muhammad Avdol, the man who commands fire with both power and reason. His stand, Magician's Red, takes the form of a muscular humanoid bird with the head of an eagle. its body engulfed in blazing red flames. This is a close-range power-type stand, granting Avdol the ability to freely manipulate fire with astonishing precision and destructive force. Unlike ordinary flames, the fire of Magician's Red can be completely controlled. Its direction, its temperature, its rate of spread, and even the ability to extinguish instantly in the blink of an eye. While ordinary people cannot see stands, they can still feel the intense heat radiating through the area, creating an invisible yet terrifying presence. Avdol's most famous technique, Crossfire Hurricane, is a simple yet immensely powerful long-range attack. He concentrates an enormous amount of heat into a single point, then fires a flaming cross that incinerates his target in an instant. In its advanced variations, Avdol can unleash multiple flaming symbols at once, creating a storm of firepower strong enough to melt the ground and drill through terrain like a high-temperature spear. But his flames are not only for offense, they can also restrain. With the technique Red Bind, Magician's Red manifests fire into ropes that can tighten around an opponent without burning them, because their temperature is under Avdol's complete control. For example, when restraining Jotaro Kujo in prison, Avdol caused him no burns at all, proving the delicacy and absolute mastery he holds over his flames. Magician's Red may not possess the mystical or overly complex abilities of many other stands in JoJo, but it has something very few achieve: a perfect balance of power, precision, and reliability in battle. Itachi and Sasuke. In the world of Naruto, controlling fire is not uncommon, but to turn it into absolute terror, that power belongs only to the Uchiha brothers. The reason is simple. Only they can cast Amaterasu, a technique that can only be used by those who possess the Mangekyo Sharingan. Once activated, any point within the user's vision erupts into black flames. These flames can incinerate all matter, cannot be extinguished by water, wind, or any natural element, and will continue burning until the target is completely reduced to ash. But such great power comes with a heavy price. Amaterasu places immense strain on the body, causing the user's eyes to bleed with every use. In the battle between Itachi and Sasuke, even though Sasuke used Fireball Jutsu to counter, the moment Itachi unleashed Amaterasu, the tide of battle shifted instantly. The black flames devoured the ordinary fire and even burned through the wings created by Sasuke's cursed seal. Later, Sasuke inherited Amaterasu and pushed it to an even higher level. In his fight against Killer Bee, when the Eight Tails fully awakened, Amaterasu became his final trump card to save his comrades. Sasuke conjured enormous black flames that engulfed the beast's body. Even as the enemy plunged into deep water, the flames did not extinguish, clinging to their target like hellfire. But unlike Itachi, Sasuke did not only cast Amaterasu, he could also control and extinguish it. With his right Mangekyo Sharingan, Sasuke could snuff out the flames through sheer will, transforming Amaterasu from a destructive onslaught into a technique that could be directed and precisely controlled. This was clearly demonstrated when Sasuke saved Karin, who had been caught by the black flames in the chaos of battle. In a moment when everyone thought she would be burned alive, Sasuke extinguished Amaterasu, something even Itachi had never done. This ability made Amaterasu under Sasuke's command the most powerful and precise offensive technique in the shinobi world. It was no longer merely a fire of destruction. It became a weapon that carried the will of the Sharingan's wielder. Mereoleona Vermillion. As a member of the noble Vermillion family, Mereoleona does not serve as a squad captain, yet she is respected by all as a true war goddess. Despite her royal lineage, she rejected a life of luxury and chose instead to train herself in the wild, forging her body and spirit into the strongest fire magic user in Black Clover. Mereoleona's flames are not merely destructive, they embody the majesty of raw power. She can condense mana into tangible forms, creating massive arms of fire strong enough to restrain summoned creatures and seize enemies without incinerating them. At one point, she even used her flaming hand to force the jaws of a water dragon shut, something no ordinary magic could achieve. Her signature spell, Calidus Brachium, is a flaming punch infused with immense mana capable of burning away anything it touches. Whether it be dark magic, water magic, or even opposing fire magic, all are obliterated before her fist. In her battle against Raya the Disloyal, every spell he unleashed was dismantled by Mereoleona's bare hands, leaving both her opponent and onlookers stunned. Upon entering Mana Zone, Mereoleona elevates the technique to new heights with Calidus Brachium Barrage, unleashing a relentless storm of fiery punches from every direction, an unstoppable onslaught of speed and power that reduces her foes to ashes in an instant. But the pinnacle of her fire magic is Calidus Brachium, Purgatory. In the state of Mana Zone, full release, her flames shift from red to mana, infused blue, spreading across the battlefield, incinerating everything and even melting the very air itself. None who have witnessed it could suppress their shiver of awe. Endeavor. His real name is Enji Todoroki. For many years, he was the number 2 pro hero, and only after All Might retired did he rise to become the number 1 hero. He wields the most powerful fire-type quirk ever seen, Hellflame, an inferno capable of incinerating anything in an instant. His familiar image is that of a man completely engulfed in flames. From his hair to his hands and even his beard, all of it is fire. Many once thought he had lost control of his quirk, but in truth, this was an intentional display, meant to embody absolute power and the majesty of a living volcano. Yet Hellflame carries a terrible cost. The longer it is used, the higher his body temperature rises, causing physiological strain, reducing combat efficiency. And if pushed beyond the limit, he could even be burned alive by his own flames. This is why Endeavor always chooses a swift, destructive fighting style that ends battles quickly. He possesses several iconic techniques such as Jet Burn, releasing an ultra-heated stream of flames from his fist, creating a devastating piercing attack. Hell Spider, concentrating fire into his fingertips and firing dozens of plasma-like streams, scorching targets in a deadly rain of flames. Vanishing Fist, compressing all of Hellflame into a single high-speed punch, blasting the opponent away and vaporizing them the moment the strike lands. In terms of mobility, Endeavor uses Hellflame as propulsion from his feet, allowing him to hover and reposition in midair, though he lacks the flexible flight abilities of Hawks. To compensate for this weakness, he developed a bold combat style, spinning his body midair like a fiery drill, using the recoil of his flames to both fly and attack in rapid succession. In this state, he becomes a moving firestorm, radiating heat intense enough to melt concrete and steel, burning through everything in his path. Hellflame is not only power, it is burden, punishment, and also rebirth. From a man haunted by his past, Enji Todoroki rose again, burning away prejudice, and step by step became the heroic symbol he himself never thought he could be. Which character or power impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below so we can dive deeper together. And if you found this video interesting, don't forget to support the channel by hitting like and subscribing, so you won't miss the next videos.